as of right now. So you can stop talking about your illegal activities, please. Yeah. No, put that away. We don't need any more nudity on this.
No sex toys.
My wallet.
Yeah, no more sex toys.
Don't worry.
And don't mention the Germans today, please.
It's not a reference to 1940s Germany. I was going to say it's not. That's the first thing I was going to tell you.
Yes. So for those of you that don't know, Lore was just talking about how he doesn't care about being late because he's got 100,000 subs, and I was all right. So
I mean, isn't it like expected though?
Yeah, kind of. So first of all, yeah, we would be remiss in not mentioning, obviously, today was quite the shock to a lot of people that Norm Macdonald passed away from cancer. Obviously, nobody, it wasn't public knowledge that he was fighting cancer. At least I don't believe so. And, the Orville, I'm sure that the cast and crew of the Orville are just reeling on this. And I don't know what they're going to do with the character Yaphet. He will be sorely missed. He was just a wonderful comic relief. I don't know about you, Laura, but, for me, Norm Macdonald, I knew him from Saturday Night Live and from back when Saturday Night Live was funny. And he also did a lot of good stand-up. So he's a funny guy. If you find any of his old specials,
Karen _ Bennett $1. I never saw your show, but I feel like you resonate with me.
And Karen Bennett says, never saw your show, but it resonates with me. I hate you. I hate you.
I don't get it.
You didn't watch the Star Trek Day stuff, did you?
No. I don't.
Oh man.
What happened? What's the joke?
Yeah, first of all, consider yourself. I know you watched the trailers that came off of Star Trek Day, but the actual gala event, I'll tell you that since you missed all the festivities, was hosted by these two young ladies who were obviously. I mean, it was kind of. They were standing there. I don't even know what their names were, but they were just standing there. They were literally holding iPhones the whole time. Like honestly, like proudly holding them up so you could see that they were iPhones. And talking like, oh my God, the whole time. And at one point, one of them, after the Discovery panel, one of them said, and I am not kidding, I've never seen the show, but that totally resonated with me.
I mean, were they cute?
Well, if I say no, then I'm kind of fat shaming, so I don't want to.
They weren't of traditional beauty.
One of them was not bad. The other one was, we'll just say, Tilly-esque.
Tilly's hot. I like Tilly. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
Like, I'm in all seriousness. I think Tilly is an attractive human being.
I thought she was all right in the first season before she ate the rest of the crew or something.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you're an excessively thin person, so you might not understand what us fatties have to deal with.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying I'm not fat. I'm not trying to claim that I am the picture of health, okay? But I'm just saying that if you're going to ask me what I want, that ain't it. All right? There's thick, and then there's spilling over. The cup is overflowing. So
right.
And her cup was definitely overflowing. Thomas. At one point, so they were showing off, they were looking at all these cool Star Trek artifacts. I'm not kidding. Now, I know that we all say stupid things sometimes, but they actually said, I have the video clip of this because it was so bad. They said that they had the tunic that was worn by Ricardo Taliban as Khan.
Okay.
Yes. Ricardo Taliban.
So I guess where did they get the persons from then, or what
I don't. I'm assuming that they slept with someone that works at Paramount.
Wow, that's sexist.
I didn't say what the gender of the person they slept with was. Now, did I?
You're assuming that that's how they got.
see,
If they were male, would they have slept with somebody?
They
too,
could
or
have.
how
They
would
could have. That's,
Okay. Would you be saying that? Is my
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. As long as you're consistent in that, I think it's okay. I think we're fine. We don't have to worry about censors.
Yes. Oh, Lordy. So the less said about them, the better. However, I think there was a lot of interesting content that came out of the presentations. I just didn't care for them. I can't believe that they were paid money to host that event. That was just like... ugh.
I mean, so, but was it known if they, if maybe they didn't watch the specific series, or was it they hadn't watched it overall?
Oh, you could tell. They'd never seen Star Trek in their lives. Trust me. They have never seen Star Trek.
Okay. So you're saying I didn't miss much is what I'm...
No, as far as the actual... the trailers were basically, that's all the information you needed. As far as the red carpet stuff and all that, yeah, you didn't miss anything.
Wasn't missing on that either.
And and Mercer Create, thank you, puts in $1.
The past few years I've been having a hard time laughing at new comedies. I guess I just have been bummed enough that new comedies don't amuse me. But Norma's Yaffit always made me laugh.
He's basically giving a little tribute to Norm's Yaffit. And I get it, man. It's going to be tough for a lot of people to get past this. But, yeah, I don't know what to say.
I mean, is it bad that it's like, I feel like I should know him, but it's not like... I guess I was the only person that wasn't like a huge fan of his, is what it feels like.
All right, here's the red carpet event. There's the two hosts.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
that chick in blue, I feel like I know her. Okay, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, the one in the gold is the one I'm saying is her cup is overflowing just a bit. Yeah.
She's fine. Man, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, man. She's all right. She's attractive.
Fine. Yeah, you know what? Hey, you can be the fair-minded, non-shaming.
Treat people the same.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
You just be the epitome of love and caring and all that, and I'll be the jerk. That's fine.
I'm glad that we got it.
Yeah.
I mean, when is your birthday? To be fair, so there is that going on.
What?
Arctic Fox. Oh, we got to do it now. Arctic Fox renewing.
Oh, wait.
Art. We got to sing her happy birthday.
Okay, so this is a treat. You guys are gonna love this. I'm gonna make Laura. There you go. Make Laura the large screen.
Right. So I gotta do this because we already talked about this.
You're gonna take your shirt off for this?
Well, I can.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, Arctic Fox would want me to.
Well,
it's what she would want. They would want. He would want.
There you go. Everybody wants a shirtless Laura.
So I'll put it over like this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Arctic Fox. Happy birthday to you. For you, Arctic. I did it for you.
And I do believe that...
Hold on, let me get my thing on.
I think... Oh, yeah. Well, First of all, the hilarious thing is as soon as you took your shirt off, the dog left the room.
That's funny.
That's bad if the dog has to leave. Like, no, this is too much. Second of all, the suicide rate in the country just went up a statistical amount. So, that's pretty bad.
They'll lower the COVID numbers, I guess. So
Multi-Gunman just said, oh my God, I'm blind. Even the dog was disgusted and left the room.
Oh no, they missed it. They missed me because the camera's not working. What the hell is up with that?
Tell them to go over to my stream and just rewind it about a minute.
Well, I tell you what, I will, guys, stay here and I will replay it in just a second. My audio is muffled. Is my audio muffled for you?
No more than usual.
No more than usual, he says. Yeah. Okay, well, give me a second, guys, and I'll replay. You won't hear me singing. Just pretend, because we'll still be talking. But just use your mind's eye. Imagine, because I had no clothing on, and it was beautiful. It was
half of that
beautiful.
Sentence was accurate.
Like the sun kisses the moon at night, and it creates a big pizza pie. That's amore.
I don't think
I forgot I was having issues and I didn't have my thing on my side. That's unfortunate. I'll replay it though, guys. Don't worry.
So yeah, and people on my stream now. Viv says, "Woohoo, take it off." So I guess there's at least one person that liked it.
It's off, baby.
Well, it's back on now.
But it'll return to being off. Don't worry.
So are you just going to do like an all nude live stream then one of these nights?
Well, who's to say that I haven't? Who's to say I wasn't all nude when I just did it with you?
Well, you're wearing your shirt now.
Yes, but before I wasn't.
And
and at that point, could I not have been nude?
Well, you could have been, but you're not now.
Oh, that's true. In fairness, it could only be certain parts of me that are.
Bird says that Spock is going to swim up Lore Reloaded.
I don't get it.
I'm not 100% sure what Bird means there.
Going to swim up me?
Yeah, I think that Spock is going to be swimming up you.
Spock is of the LGBT? Is what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure. Bird.
I mean, him and Kirk. So is he a Spurk person? Sounds like he's a Spurk person.
I'm not sure. Thomas wants to know, why do you hate us? Do you hate them?
No, that's why I showed them my amazingness. Because I wanted
swim up to Lore Reloaded. But why would Spock...
Does it make it any better?
I still don't understand it. Why would Spock swim up to Lore Reloaded, Bird? I'm still losing you. Why is Spock going to... Oh, I get it. Because remember, in Star Trek IV, Spock swam to the whales to mind meld. So he's making a joke that you're a whale.
No, I more think he was trying to infer that me and Spock and I would have sexual relations.
Well, no, now he's saying maybe he's singing to that man Star Trek IV joke.
Death of the author. I choose to believe that when Spock swam up, he might have been into whales too. They have like such smooth bodies.
Yeah. And E for you now says takes guts to show your moves on YouTube. It does.
Well, dude, he doesn't know.
I will say this, Bird, say what you want. Laura has guts, lots and lots of guts.
So this is me for everyone watching when I was singing Happy Birthday with my always unkempt room.
Are you showing it to your...
I'm now showing it to them, yes.
Okay.
In its full glory. Because they didn't get to see it before.
Yeah, but you see, they don't get to hear it either. So, that's why you should have just told them to come over to my stream and see it.
Did you see Gates McFadden telling the story of how she got the part of Dr. Crusher at Star Trek Day 2021? Hashtag
that was not Gates McFadden. It was Skeletor.
What are you talking about?
Sorry,
I'm so confused. So is that how what happened there? What's the story?
Oh, she just looks horrible.
Gates McFadden looks... Dude, is there any woman that you respect, or what the hell?
Sure, there are lots of women I respect. Gates McFadden isn't one of them.
Why? What about women in Trek really annoys you? Jesus Christ! Man.
It's not women in Trek, but you know what? It's this tendency of late for some of these women in Trek to go around attacking certain segments of the fan base. Now, Gates McFadden has not been as bad as, say, Marina Sirtis, who has been particularly bad. But
what has she done at all? What has Gates McFadden done at all?
Huh? If
I honestly don't know. Yeah. I've not seen her say it. Has she said something bad?
Salty Trekker is Fandom Menace. I'm not really Fandom Menace, no, Bird, but I don't.
I just wanted to know what the red pill tastes like that you took. Did you put like hot sauce on it, or are you more like?
I'm not.
Did you use those peppers when you ate that red? I don't know, man. You've attacked 3 women in the sum of.
What can I say? It's a thing. You know what? It's unfortunately.
What can I say? Women are just dogs.
It's not. No, it's not a part of their sex. Will you just stop?
What can I say? They're inferior to men. What?
That's not what bird. Lord, shut up. I'm gonna punch you now. Anyway, obviously, I don't have a problem with women. But some of these women that are, and unfortunately, this is becoming a trend with some of the women in the production of Star Trek, and that's been a disturbing trend that I don't like. Now, I'm hoping that it's a trend that ends, because I don't like the ongoing war between certain fans and people that are in production. I think that that's not productive. And I think that ultimately it just harbors bad blood on both sides, because, you know, I don't agree with everything the Phantom Menace is saying, but I also understand that the Phantom Menace has some legitimate gripes, because sometimes, yes, they get crap from these guys. And thank you, Easley. I couldn't remember what it was that Gates said, but yeah, Gates was one that was tweeting about not going to. I'm trying to remember exactly how she put it, but about certain fans. Was it that she didn't want the fans going to the cons, or that she wasn't going to the cons, or something like that? I can't remember what it was. But anyway, enough about that. So let's talk about, what was it we were going to talk about before you decided to get all red pilly?
I'm not the one getting
you're the one. You're the one.
And apparently she was assaulted and was talking about it, and you're sitting here.
I didn't say she was. What do you mean she was assaulted?
Apparently she was sexually assaulted is what she's saying, or what was happening.
Okay.
But I mean, it's okay because she looks like Skeletor, right? I mean, it's all right. What does she even look like now? Are you glad she's not? So, joking aside, are you glad that she's not in the? Are you glad she's not in Picard season 3 because of her opinion? You think she'd be a net negative, or?
I don't know. You know, the thing is, I think the Picard concept is a net negative, and I think that's and it's number one. I think Patrick Stewart, while he's a fine actor, he's too old to be playing the part of Jean-Luc Picard at this point. And so I said that before season 1 came out. And honestly, I think after watching season 1, I genuinely feel validated with that opinion, because when the most realistic thing about Picard season 1 was how winded he looked when trying to go up those stairs. You know, it was just... It was sad to see this, you know, what Picard was always this character who was the champion of dignity, and now he's just like the opposite of it. He was the person who literally went to court to fight for the rights of, synthetic life, and now he's the person who wants to abuse synthetic life. He was the person who was the very pillar of optimism, the very symbol of what the Federation stood for, now running around as the symbol of nihilism and talking about how the Federation meant nothing. And so, yeah, I felt that the show was an absolute net loss. And I didn't think that it was going to be anything other than that.
So I'd say there's a couple of things too. I agree that he is showing his age as an actor, and so I think that is a detriment. No matter how they try to cut it, you can tell if you watch.
Let the character be gone. I mean, that's the problem. I know that you don't want to, but if you're gonna bring back an old character to do a new show, bring somebody who's got some pep in their step still. You could do a Riker series. Heck, as much as I don't like the actor personally, you could do a Wesley Crusher series, and at least the actor still looks young enough to do stuff. You know? I
will say, though, I don't know about nihilism. I'm not sure where that's coming, but the the fact that the Federation is failing or the Federation has done horrors, they're that actually has been in a couple of the scripts, the movie scripts for Picard.
Mm-hmm.
They were just cut. You can actually go find the scenes where he's just going off about how horrible the council is and how they're not going to hide it.
Right.
It happened. I think it happened in both Nemesis and in Insurrection is when they had that. So it's not necessarily out of the wheelhouse that, he would be like, the Federation's
Patrick
bad.
Stewart didn't want that before. I'm just saying that I think that the idea of turning the Federation into a dystopian future is a mistake, period. And I think that Discovery has proven it's a mistake, and that's why Discovery, while they haven't done a very good job of it, has been trying to slowly turn it around to a little bit more optimistic view of things. I think that's why they've been trying to push Strange New Worlds as a more optimistic view. I think it's why the only show that the fans have, for the most part, been uniformly accepting of is Lower Decks, because it is the only optimistic show that's currently out there. And the simple fact is that Star Trek, you can say what you want as far as, which one's your favorite or who's your favorite character. But the one thing that all Trek had in common up until the Star Trek 2009 is that all Trek had an optimistic view of mankind's future. And yes, there was adversity. Yes, man had hurdles to pass. Yes, there were problems and things that man had to deal with. And yes, sometimes man had to make tough choices. And there were dark moments in man's history. But it was an optimistic view of humanity. But now that's thrown away. If you look at Picard season 1, if you look at the first 3 seasons of Discovery, and from what we see in these trailers, especially if you look at Picard season 2 trailer, it's just dystopia, dystopia, dystopia. It's like we want to. I mean, heck, Picard season 2, the entire premise is that the Federation has become a totalitarian state, and now we got to go back in time to fix it. That seems to be like and look at how much they've
done that storyline before in Trek, not as a season arc.
Right. But the problem is this is going to be, that's probably going to be this whole season arc. Or if it's like anything like last time with Picard, it'll be what they talk about for the first few episodes, and then they'll do something about tribbles or something, who knows, because they change their mind. But it seems like, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's Alex Kurtzman, I don't know if it's the writer's room, I don't know if it's somewhere else in the production team or where it's coming from, but it seems like somewhere in the pipeline right now there is this overwhelming feeling of nihilism that's been inserted into Trek, and I think that that's poisoning the Star Trek well. And the only place where we don't see that is Lower Decks. Now, so far, I'll say that it looks like Strange New Worlds doesn't seem like it's necessarily going to be that way, but we haven't seen an actual episode of Lower Decks yet. We haven't seen a proper trailer for Lower Decks yet. So it's hard to say. The only thing we really know about Lower Decks is who some of the characters are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that
I'm not Lower Decks, Strange New World. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew what you're talking about. I think it depends on what your level of acceptance is for dark, and I would almost agree the spirit in which the stuff is written. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, the only real true light, I think, the real Utopia-esque series when it comes to Trek is the original series and the Next Generation. Possibly the animated series, but I didn't watch all that. By the way, did you know the one thing I did hear and watch, the animated series wasn't for kids, because the first real one is Prodigy. Man, the amount of people trying to justify that comment is just ridiculous. But I mean, maybe the animated series. But when you look at like Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like Enterprise, those were fairly dark in comparison.
Well, don't confuse dark with nihilistic.
Toss and Ting. I mean, what do you mean by nihilistic? So you're saying Discovery and Picard are nihilistic?
Yes, and
what do we mean?
Deep Space Nine has elements, and by the way, Deep Space Nine is not nearly as dark as you make it out to be. We think of Deep Space Nine as dark because it had the Dominion War in it, and it had certain episodes that were dark, like In the Pale Moonlight. Everybody likes to point at In the Pale Moonlight. Deep Space Nine is also the series that gave us the Magnificent Ferengi. And so Deep Space Nine is not a particularly dark show. Deep Space Nine is a show that had dark and light, but nihilistic is what nihilism is all about is that ultimately life has no meaning. Ultimately, there is no grand importance to things. Ultimately, life is pointless. And if you look at the attitude of Discovery and the attitude of Picard, that is clearly there. If you look at the attitude of if you look at the attitude of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, TNG, the original series, no, there's not even a trace of nihilism in any of those shows. Even the worst of TNG, when I didn't like the show in the first 2 seasons, while I thought it was preachy and I thought that there were some things that I strongly disagreed with, it was never nihilistic. And but what we have now is nihilistic Trek.
So do you know which well, there's 2 things for that. Do you know which series was the only series to have the Insular in it?
The Insular?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, no. And Arabic throws in a couple bucks, says, what does Joshua think of New Trek? Is he a Trekkie? No, Joshua has never watched any of the new Trek. He doesn't find it interesting at all.
He who controls the spice controls
and in fact, and my
what
wife,
does Joshua think of New Trek?
She watched
Is he
the
a Trekkie?
first episode of Discovery and then said, "Screw that noise! I'm not watching it." And she did watch the first season of Picard with me, and she said that, "What the heck did they do to this character?"
Believe it or not, Deep Space Nine actually has it has the Insular in it. It was one done by Avery Brooks, which he was the one where it was where they go back in time, and it was Benny Russell. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, they actually used. I was surprised by that. I was like, holy hell! So I don't know. It depends on how you interpret the season, because I think that someone could reasonably say season 1 of Discovery like directly addresses your concern. Like it starts out somewhat nihilistic or believing in yourself, and then it ends with pulling the morals of Starfleet, of doing what's right even in the face of like utter annihilation. I think that someone could give a good faith argument for that, because it starts with Michael committing treason, which never happened, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then it ends with her saying, no, we're not going to genocide all of the Klingons. We are going to stick with our morals and save them. Mm-hmm. And it's the whole "we are Starfleet" thing. So, I would say that
which,
would
interestingly enough, was also going against orders.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she disobeyed orders in both routes,
which she should have been court-martialed for, but wasn't.
Well,
instead,
and I mean,
they gave her a medal.
It was really cringe too. I don't know. I don't believe that's where the admirals would necessarily naturally go. I mean, I'm not saying that I 100% agree with it. I'm saying that someone might try to argue and say that, and I could see that being a reasonable argument depending on how you interpret Discovery.
I could see that as an argument, but here's the problem that I see with Discovery. With Discovery, at least to me, and I understand where like when you look at the way that Discovery is put together, it feels like, oh, we better put something in there that says that we are good, and so let's write that in. It doesn't feel like it's a natural, like it like the way that speech at the end of Discovery in season 1 came in, that in no way is relevant to what we just watched for a season. Like her whole speech at the end is not a reflection of what we just watched. That speech was something that someone tacked on at the end to say, oh yeah, we care about Federation values.
Right.
You know, it's just like in season 3 where they keep talking about the inspiring Federation, you know, how inspiring and how awesome the Federation is. And yet we never saw in Discovery how inspiring and awesome the Federation is. You know, and that's the real problem that I see with Discovery. And you know this is it's the whole tell and not showing, right? What we need to do is, and what they did in the original series, in Next Generation, in Deep Space Nine, and yes, even to some extent in Voyager and Enterprise, is they showed us the values of the Federation. But in Discovery, they just kind of tell us every now and then. But they don't really show us the values of the Federation. They just every now and then tell us, oh yeah, the Federation cares about these things, but we're not going to really show that to you.
I don't know, man. As I said, I'm not a fan of Discovery. Like,
right.
you know how like sometimes and generally, like I think Discovery might be the only one. When you go back and you watch it after a year or two or whatever, it doesn't seem as bad when you first watched it. Discovery is one of the only ones that I went back and I was like, this is as bad as I remember it. I would say this again. I do think the spirit in which it was written is probably different. I think that it just depends on. I think it's written in a it's not written the way they wrote it originally for uplifting. It's just written uplifting in a different way, a more. You could possibly say in a more dystopian way. Like it's uplifting, but it's still dystopian to agree.
BC, I think that's like saying, well, take this depressant that's not a depressant. You know, I would now, like I said, I think that Strange New Worlds has a lot of potential to it. I don't think Discovery has a lot of potential to it. I really don't think Picard has a lot of potential, because looking at the trailer for Picard season 2, especially, and I gotta say, and I don't know how you felt, but I think probably the most tone deaf thing this year is to literally have 3 days before the 20th anniversary of 9/11 to have a trailer that features a building coming down.
That's being sensitive,
no,
man.
I think that was a bit much. But then to have Starfleet turning into this totalitarian regime, I thought it was just it was just, to me, it was just.
There's two pieces to that. Star Trek is now international. It's not just a United States thing. And
I'm sorry. I thought it was tone deaf. I think that, you know what, to release that trailer on the 8th, I think was a bit much. I think if they had released that trailer a month before or a month after, sure. Or if they just didn't have that particular clip in that trailer, sure. I'm not saying you can't have something like that in the show. I think including that in a trailer that you're going to release right on the eve of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, that's tacky. And I'm sorry, you may not care about 9/11, but
that's what it is. You know what? I don't care.
Well,
don't
no. I'm just saying. Well, you
nailed it. You nailed it right there.
Lord,
you know what?
You're
it's
just
funny.
Like you're hand waving it off like it's nothing. Like, oh, it's no big deal. And it is a big deal.
Everything? Do we stop all storytelling and we stop everything the month of September? Is that what we do at this point?
You know what? I had so many people, because you know what? I did before I even saw the trailer.
So many people, because
I was like, what are you talking about? What's the big deal with this trailer? Before I had even seen it, and then I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh crap. And I do think that was tacky.
Well, guys, if you don't, I'm not saying it's sensitive that a building blew up. You don't care about 9/11. We figured that. And you know what? I'm just surprised that you they actually showed the legs. Like you could see the legs of a female and her face. I'm surprised we didn't get upset from a Christian standpoint. That's just
now I understand. I understand. Hold on, Laura. I know you like to be a dick about these kinds of things, but
I'm not the one who said you don't care about 9/11. You're calling me a dick.
Well, no, but because you're taking it to you're trying to take it to some extreme that is completely
taking it to some extreme. You don't think it's a big deal, so you don't care about 9/11. I
think that there's a big difference between it's just like, do you remember when Spider-Man, what was it? The Spider-Man movie was coming out. They had a trailer where Spider-Man caught a helicopter in between the Twin Towers with a spider web. And they pulled that trailer out, which was, by the way, is an awesome trailer if you've never seen it. They pulled that trailer because 9/11 happened, right? And because they were like, oh, crap, we don't want any imagery that might remind people of what happened. Now, granted, this was when 9/11 first happened, and I get that. But now, okay, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary. You're putting together a trailer for a series. You're going to debut this trailer on 9/8 of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. I'm not talking about, oh no, something bad happens. You're talking about a building collapsing. And you're going to put that in the trailer. I think that's a bit much. I think that is a little tone deaf.
Why is it specific? So there's so many ways to go. Do you know how many terrorist attacks happen across the world? Why is the United States special? Should they try to see every specific date that a terrorist attack happened?
How many terrorist attacks result in a skyscraper coming down?
I don't know, but does it matter?
No, I think you do know. I think you do know.
Don't.
Really, you don't know? Really, you have no clue. You have no freaking clue how many terrorist attacks took down major skyscrapers around the world.
Attacks have taken down skyscrapers. I honestly don't.
Okay.
The World Trade Center is bombed, so that was one. The September 11 attacks. Let's see. I don't know. I can take a look. So 2? At least. But again, let me ask you, what is the value in I mean, so when the UK subway got hit, that wasn't a big deal. When
what I'm saying is
Israel gets bombed like daily, that's not a big deal. I mean,
first of all, Israel's not bombed daily.
Okay. So you do know what exaggeration is. Yeah, okay. So we know what an exaggeration is.
But, for example, if you were, let's say that, so like Serge just mentions the Oklahoma City bombing, right? So let's say that you were going to release a trailer on the 10th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, and in it, you happen to have something that almost duplicates the Oklahoma City bombing.
It didn't almost. There was only one. It didn't almost duplicate. There was only one skyscraper.
You have a skyscraper coming down,
and you're still not list. So if every terrorist attack needs to be looked at, do they need to check the calendar for every terrorist attack that has occurred, or is it specific to skyscraper ones or ones that occur in the United States?
I don't.
It's been 20 years, man. I don't know how that couldn't be any clearer.
Yeah, it's been exactly 20 years. That's the point.
How many terrorist attacks have occurred in history?
So see, now this is where you're going crazy because it's like,
I'm not going crazy.
No, you absolutely are because you're trying to say, every terrorist attack, like
do they need to do every
taking down skyscrapers is a common terrorist attack. Like this is something that happens every freaking day.
So if it's a common attack,
no, I'm saying this is not something that happens on a regular basis. This is something that happened once. This is something that is an incredible event. And they did this on the anniversary of that event.
First off, they did it 3 days before the anniversary. You said that, but
I understand. But you know what I'm saying. They're
doing the month of, or close to. Yeah,
just a couple of days beforehand. And so I'm just saying it's tone deaf. That's all I'm saying.
I think I just think that's a little sensitive. I do, and any argument you give can be placed to any terrorist attack that occurs, especially if it's happened because it's in the United States and it happened to Americans, or because of skyscraper. Are you really sticking that to the skyscraper argument there?
I'm saying that makes it fairly unique. I mean, I don't understand why you're thinking that it's that makes it like that. Okay. It's such a common, like, everyday event. You make it sound like, oh yeah,
I didn't make it sound like it's a common everyday.
You got to look at every terrorist attack.
If you're going to care about one terrorist attack and say that you can't do you can't make something because of that terrorist attack, then why is that terrorist attack more important than every other terrorist attack that happens? That's what I'm asking.
I'm saying that it was insensitive of them. That's all I'm saying.
And my question to you is that do the writers of, like, not just Star Trek, but every show that's ever going to come out have to be hyper aware of all of the terrorist attacks and when they occur, and try to do it that not only
I'm not talking about the writers of the show. I'm talking about the people who release the trailer.
The marketers.
I'm just talking about the marketing. That's all
fine.
I'm talking about.
That's fine. So do the people who do the marketing, when they release these, do they have to be aware of every terrorist attack, how the terrorist attack occurred, and when?
But I would expect if it's a major,
this one.
I'm just saying, if it's a major event and you're coming up on a major anniversary of a major event, then maybe you should be a little sensitive of it. You know, if there's, like if you were coming up on some kind of massive anniversary to something, it's not like 9/11 was just a minor thing. It's not like 9/11 only affected a couple of people.
Okay, so terrorist attack. There, I bet I can find multiple terrorist attacks that have been far larger than 9/11. But even if I couldn't, that doesn't. Let me ask you this, and this is all serious, and maybe we just need to move on because I think we're just going to disagree on it. If they had released it, okay. So let me ask you. So here's a good one. Do you think it was insensitive for them to release this and have a totalitarian government, an authoritarian government, on the same month that World War II both started and ended?
In the same month that World War II started and ended? No.
Okay. So World War II, which drastically outshines 9/11. I think we can agree in the amount of death and bad things that happened, right? It's okay to do it with World War II because they did it in the same month that it both started and ended. But 9/11 not. Is it because it's further away, or because I guess most of the generation is dead, right?
I don't. We still have there are probably very few direct survivors of World War II still alive.
Sure, but do you see what I'm saying? What? I mean, if it had happened, I think if it had happened the same year, maybe even within 5 years. But I don't know. It's been 20 years. My God, we're old. I remember, I'm sure you do too. Remember, I was there when 9/11 happened. I remember watching it and everything.
Right.
I don't know.
I just, I get it that to some people it's a bigger deal than others, but
it's not whether it's a big deal and see that is such an insult.
No, I'm not trying to say it wasn't a big deal to you. I'm saying that to me, when I see because like for example, I think that imagery evokes memories of that. If I see a building collapse, that's the first thing that pops into my mind is 9/11. And I think that it was in poor taste to release that right near the anniversary of it. On the 20th anniversary, I think that's in poor taste. Okay. Not that it's in poor taste to have that in the show. I don't care about it being in the show. And you know what I'm saying. I don't think that's here or there. I mean, because because we don't know what the cause of the building blowing up and all that is. I just think that the way they put it in there.
Something to make it worse for you, when I first watched it and when I was going to first do the breakdown, and I wouldn't have put it together. And I think maybe you might have a stronger argument. I might more agree with you on this at that point. I thought they slammed into it at first. Like you saw all the shuttles and everything flying by it, or all the cars or whatever. I thought literally one slammed into it. Now, I didn't put that together at that point. It would have happened here. But that's what I thought happened. I think it was a bomb ultimately, though, right? Or we don't know.
I don't think they made it clear yet. I mean,
right.
I'm sure we'll find out when the show comes out. Anyway, but the problem is, like, the Picard trailer, to me, it looks like, okay, the basically they're going to time travel. They're going to come back to the 21st century so they can save money on the visual effects budget. And for some reason, the Borg Queen is involved.
Right.
And
Q.
Yeah, and Q.
Did you see the Europa thing on there too?
What Europa thing we mean?
So, and I was trying to tie it together and see if I could figure it out. But Q, every time after maybe it was in the past, anytime you see him after he does the change, he's wearing a uniform and it says Europa on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know if that was connected to something.
Well, did you notice how the Delta shields they wore after the time change looked so oversized?
Yeah, and another interesting thing, and someone else brought this up.
Cheap cosplay to me.
I have an interesting theory that I wanted to run by you since we're on that right now. So they have the Queen. So there's a couple things we saw. So when you look at the emblem and it's on the flag or whatever, it looks like one of two things. And another fan brought this up. It looks like almost a mixture of the Borg logo or the Borg emblem and the United Federation of Planets.
Right.
It looks like it's superimposed on each other.
Like somehow the Borg did something.
Yeah, but here's the interesting piece. The Borg Queen is almost assuredly captured by this new Starfleet. Because when you watch and you put it cut together, you see Picard and crew, or the Scooby Gang, all appear in this one facility that looks like a Starfleet facility.
Right.
And then when you look at the Queen, she's tied up, and the area around her looks like that facility. And I'm almost wondering if in this timeline, when they went evil, they somehow either defeated the Borg or were able to capture them in some way and just super used their tech and became evil or something. I don't know. Did you notice that? And if you hadn't, what are your thoughts on that? Because it really seems
I hadn't thought about that. That could be. But I mean, the weird thing about that, though, is that, I mean, does that mean that, so why are they going all the way back to the 21st century to try and fix things?
Well, Lisa says it says Europa Expedition, implying that whatever is screwing with history is about some near future space mission that goes wrong.
Okay.
And with that, I'd almost agree with it, because it looks like it is like, it's not NASA, but it's like whatever Europe's equivalent of NASA is. And that's what I'm assuming. But and it could be the case. So what would be interesting is, and I thought about this, but I don't think the writers would do it, is they tie in what happened with, and this would make your theory work more, what happened in Enterprise, where they found the Borg, the Borg, whatever. Like they actually find it, or it's on the moon or something that happened with First Contact. And so they're just able to get it in like super, or reverse engineer it.
Right.
They're also very, very mirror universe. They seem to be anti-alien.
Yeah, and like E4U now mentions in the chat that the totalitarian version of the Federation just feels like another version of the Terran Empire, and that's that, and that, I think for some reason they almost these producers seem really fascinated with just doing like an evil version of the Federation. I mean, like if the first season of Discovery, half of it took place in the mirror universe. And then, of course, you had Admiral Pottymouth and the Evil Federation in Picard Season 1. And now it looks like they're going full-on, evil German Federation for Season 2.
I think audiences just love it, man. By the way, I had a thing I didn't read, and I want to apologize. Cedric, it's soulless. All Gene's hopes are discarded, and humanity's one step above the Borg, and the Starfleet and the Federation. Discovery sucks, which still fits in this much later. I think it just sells. I think you got. I mean, I understand what you're saying with Marvel, but also if you look at What If, that's dystopian. I think space dystopia sells, and so they're trying to get clicks and make money, and so they're just following that, whether it works with Star Trek or not. I like you said, I'm still interested in it, but I'd be a lot more interested in it if they hadn't done the mirror universe already.
Right. And because you could actually make that into almost an origin of the mirror universe, and that could actually be kind of interesting. And Mercer, and I'm only going to read the first half of this comment, but this says it all, is really the biggest problem with the Picard series. A show called Picard should be a character study of Picard, but it's not. That's the problem. Picard is not about Picard. At least, Picard season 1 wasn't really about Picard. It was about the mystery of the robots and the giant space robots and the Borg artifact and cabins in the woods with deflector shields and anti-cloak scanners. And season 2 seems to be about Q changing the timeline and dystopian totalitarian federations that kidnap Borg queens. And, it's like Picard is just TNG without the Enterprise. And I agree that Picard, if you're going to just do a series where the title of the series is the name of a person, then the series should be about that person. And Thomas says that no, Q helped Trump get reelected, so they have to go and fix it.
I'll say this. I'll say this. I expect some allusions to Trump, but I will be very, very disappointed if there's any direct.
Like if they actually did say something like Q.
Yeah, if they're like this is if they do it during the days of Trump or Trump's referenced in any way, I think it's lazy writing and I think it's too on the nose. I think you can do a lot better than that.
Well, you never know. With the way Patrick Stewart was talking with season 1 of Picard, what would you do if they actually say that Q snaps his fingers and not only gets Trump elected, but also causes Brexit?
I mean, wouldn't they cancel each other out? Hey, which one's the better one? Who am I talking? No, I wouldn't. Wow, I didn't even think of them bringing in Brexit. I would be. I don't know. As I said, if they do anything like that, I would be really, really disappointed because even for Discovery writing, that's pretty lazy.
Right.
Because they tried to do that with the Romulans, and I at least saw the.
You mean the Klingons?
No. They tried to do it with Romulans.
You mean in Picard? I thought
for Picard, when it came to the.
I thought you were about talking about the Klingons in Discovery season 1.
No.
Those guys.
No, when with the Romulans, when the Romulans came into the Federation borders and then were just forgotten, that was an allusion to what happened in Europe. I have no idea how accurate that is to real life, but at least that's what they were trying to do. But if they're on the nose, that'll just be insanely disappointing.
All right, so let's move on from the Picard. What did you think of the Strange New Worlds character slots that they revealed?
I went over it once. I really wasn't all that interested. I'm more interested in seeing the actual the actual footage and stuff
trailer.
Like that. Yeah, the character reveals. Teaser trailer was not all that interesting to me. I think it's having a blind character is going to be interesting. The way they did it too, I think is fits in. Also, something someone else brought up, which I thought was pretty cool that other people may not have noticed. This is going to be the first series where all 4 of the original member worlds are represented in the cast, which is kind of cool.
Well, you have Human, Vulcan, and Dorian.
And they have a Tellarite there, too.
Who's a Tellarite?
I'd have to look it back up, but they actually have a Tellarite on the Strange New World cast. Maybe not in main cast, but they have it on the show.
If they have a Tellarite, I didn't catch that. I didn't see the Tellarite. But that's cool. I did not catch that there's going to be a Tellarite on the ship. So that is cool. I didn't notice it was the I don't know if you caught this or not, but the guy playing the Andorian, because it's the Andorian subspecies.
The Anar, yeah.
Yeah, and the guy playing him is actually blind himself.
Right.
And I think that's kind of cool because even though I'm not one of those people that says, well, you have to be, like, I don't think you have to be gay to play a gay character. I don't think you have to be blind to play a blind character. But if you are a blind actor, there are very few roles for you to get on a TV show. And here, this guy actually gets what a perfect role for a blind actor to get. So I think that's kind of cool. And to be able to get a certain level of authenticity to that role. Now, he's not 100% blind. My understanding is he had cancer in his eye, so he's completely blind in one eye, and in the other eye, he has severely limited vision.
I might be wrong on that. I swear to God, I saw a Tellarite on there, though.
Yeah, see, I don't remember seeing a Tellarite. That would be cool, though, if they actually did. I would like to see that.
Well, to have all 4 member worlds represented in the crew, that'd be really cool. I swear I saw it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yes, Carlos. So he's legally blind is the correct term, but he is mostly blind. I mean, like, he can't see worth a dang, so.
Not everything from Eugene Wesley Roddenberry's mind was great. I was about to correct you on that one. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's cool when they can have actors who can directly relate, but I don't think it's worth getting upset if they cast someone who's not. Like, I mean, when you cast Spider-Man, you don't want him to have lost his grandparent and then for him to have gotten superpowers right after, because he'd be busy. He doesn't need to be an actor. He needs to save Metropolis or wherever he's at. So
dang, dude, really? Metropolis?
Aren't they both DC? Isn't Spider-Man DC?
Really? You're gonna go there?
But anyway,
Punch you in the face.
That's just weird.
Well,
you can't do that. I mean, there were U.S. soldiers that have been punched by Taliban people in September. So
Ricardo Taliban
attacked Kirk.
Yes, that's absolutely true. So yeah, I really do want to see a genuine trailer, because I will say this, there's a couple of concerns. Now, I mentioned this to you before we started. One is that while I do think bringing in Dr. Mbanga was cool, because that's a character from the original series. He only appeared twice. I think it's kind of cool. He's the resident expert on Vulcans. Maybe we can kind of find out how he became an expert on Vulcans, and it would make sense that he would be Spock's physician. But having 3 additional legacy characters with Mbanga, Christine Chapel, and Uhura means that now you have 3 more invincible characters on the show, which is a big problem with prequels, because with all these characters that we know cannot come to any harm, it's going to reduce some of the tension of the show. That I have a little bit of an issue with.
Yeah, I didn't think about that till you brought it up. I mean, that's fair. Honestly, though, they said Strange New Worlds is going to be a return to an original series, Phil, and if they're going to do that, the only thing we're going to lose is red shirts. So,
right.
I don't really think any of the cast have any real fears, because that would be too dark for a return to the original series. But I get what you're saying. Nothing really negative can happen to them, and I think that's a shame, because it does limit your ability to write, unless they just don't care about canon.
Right, which, granted, we know that if there's one thing we all know about the new Star Trek, is that they desperately care about canon.
It's true.
Because they would never, ever do anything that would violate canon. Wow. And then one other thing. So here's my horrible fan theory that I think that they may have accidentally revealed a little too much information. So Did you catch what number one's real name is?
They actually had her real name in one of the shorts.
Right, but well. in this they actually gave her full name.
Okay. I didn't know. I got to be honest, I didn't pay that much attention to it.
So they said her full name is Una Chin Riley. Okay. So Una, then Chin, Chin, Riley, right? So, and the Chin and Riley are hyphenated apparently, but we don't know why exactly. Okay. So, here's my theory. I think that Una Chin Riley is, in fact, a legacy character. So I think that she is our first genuine human transgender character. And that she is, in fact, Kevin Riley.
I don't think they'll do that. That would almost be interesting, though. By the way, Ryan House says they can kill off the main members like they kill off Shax. So there's no you're not wrong, but it's just there's no impacts to continuity.
Yeah, they could, but the problem is that there would be absolutely no question as to whether or not they were coming back. You know, like when they killed Yar, yes, they did bring Yar back with the time travel episode later on, but there was, you know, she for all intents and purposes, that Yar was gone and never came back.
Right.
And so the other
Yar
had no
intentions of bringing her back either. Not to interrupt, but she was supposed to be gone.
Right. And the Yar that they brought back in the time travel anomaly is from a different timeline.
Right.
And so and yesterday's Enterprise is considered as a fan favorite episode for good reason. It's a great episode. So if we just make it so that, well, we know Uhura is around in the original series. We know Nurse Chapel's around the original series. We know Mbanga's around in the original series. We know that Pike ends up in the chair, you know, and so we know what happens to all these characters. The only one of the legacy characters we don't really know what happens is number one. And so given that, the problem is that these characters are invincible. So if any of them die in an episode, we know they're coming back. Yes, in the old days of TV, every time, like if you were watching classic Battlestar Galactica and Starbuck got killed, you know by the end of the episode Starbuck was coming back to life somehow. But in modern television, if a character is killed, that character could be dead. Right. But not if you're doing a prequel. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's the problem.
You know, I don't know if you're joking around or not.
With Una? It's more or less just a joke. Oh, okay. I think it would be funny though.
Yeah, Phantom Menace would get so pissed off. Mm-hmm. I was thinking of that as because she's a lieutenant commander. I don't think they'd.
Yeah, and he was just a lieutenant.
Back. Yeah.
Of course, it could be that she did it without authorization, so she got busted down.
I don't know, because Una isn't really a known character, so if they did that, I don't know that I'd care all that much. I think Phantom Menace would have
they'd have a heart attack.
Yeah. I almost want them to see what Phantom Menace would do, to see how bad they get. But, yeah, that's funny, though.
And then the We Are Starfleet crowd would freak out because why'd she get demoted?
Right.
You know, so.
Well, and then she goes crazy, too, or he would go crazy at that point because isn't that what happens to Kevin? He gets space sickness or something?
No, well, he ends up getting poisoned by Kodos, but he recovers.
Oh, okay.
So he's all right. And he does get the space drunk sickness and sings to everybody.
Well, there you go.
You know, he's just a crazy Irishman.
I wonder if they're going to try to connect those two. I could see them doing that.
They could, they could be related somehow or something.
Could be your sister.
Yeah, they could be brother sister. They could be husband wife.
It could be Uno's sister, as the joke was.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's interesting. I wonder if they are going to connect. That's crazy.
Yeah, since they're both last name Riley. And since she's Chin Riley, I'm wondering, like, maybe she's married to someone with the name Chin.
Well, there you go. Maybe.
You know.
Would you like to see a movie about the Enterprise incident with the Enterprise C crew before and during the battle? It goes back to knowing kind of how it ends, so I'm not sure. It would be interesting. I'll give you that. Honestly, I want to see just anything that's past. That's past DS9. I not Picard. Not Picard levels, but just past DS9. You know.
You mean so past Deep Space Nine in the timeline? You mean?
Correct. Like 5 years, not 35 years or whatever. Apparently, you're louder than me. I've been trying to adjust that.
Well, you know,
that's how it happens.
I'll just talk quietly. How's that?
Just be all quiet, be ASMR.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Salty Trekker here, sounding all sexy. And so I think that I don't know. It's the problem is that I think that, and I've talked about this before. I think the next gen tech is a little too advanced, and with Picard, it seems like the tech isn't advanced enough. Like I don't quite get it, but is it just me, or do you get the feeling that, like, on Picard, they wouldn't be able to reroute power to the deflector dish to make an inverse tachyon beam so that they could go to parallel dimensions like they can at any given time on Voyager?
So I think that we're not looking at Starfleet technology, and well, first off, they have that magic tech of the ages. What are you talking about? Remember, she puts her hand into it and can make literally anything.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think they could just open up a portal to anywhere with it.
I mean, I think it's the most brilliant Etch-a-Sketch thing that has ever existed. Brilliant in that how powerful it is. I think that we're looking at a civilian ship versus like Federation ships, because the 12,000 like warships, I forget what they were, that Riker shows up in.
Yeah, the cut and paste class.
Yeah, the cut and paste class. Those look pretty powerful. I think we're just seeing it from a civilian side. I don't think civilians got the good stuff.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like it is now, where the military gets the real good stuff before they disseminate it.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you have
I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? Because, I mean, that would make sense.
Well,
it'd be consistent, too. I mean, anytime we saw a civilian ship, it didn't really seem to match the Federation tech.
Well, you would think that deflectors would be on civilian ships, but, you know.
Did they not have a deflector on? Did they specifically talk about that?
Well, they'd have to, because, you know, that you would be able to navigate without them.
Well, there's a kit bash in DS9 that doesn't have a deflector, so maybe they're using that tech.
Could be.
I forget which one it was. There was one that literally didn't have a deflector. It's the most annoying thing.
But yeah, I mean, if you don't have a deflector dish, you know, they even talk about it, that, you know, then you hit a piece of space dust at warp and you're dead.
Right.
You know, so you have to have deflectors, and for whatever reason, deflector dish is magic in next gen era.
Right. Well, almost everything is magic in the next gen era, to be fair.
And that's what I don't like, is that, like, it felt like to me, and that's why, like, if I was gonna, if they handed me the keys to the kingdom and said design a show, I'd want to set a show like sometime after Star Trek 6, but before TNG, like maybe during the dismantling of Starfleet. You know, the dismantling of the military wing of Starfleet, and something happens, and you know, what kind of crazy adventures ensue. But I think that those ships still felt like they felt like cool ships of the line, but they had limitations. They didn't feel like it felt like you needed a wrench to fix a warp core. You didn't tell the computer to just, you know, fix it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would be. I think seeing the dressing down of Starfleet would be interesting. Again, I don't know. That's one of the things why, and this is probably my boomer moment, if you will. I think that Star Trek is best when it's dealing with Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
I get that people want to see it from a civilian side or an alien side or whatever, but personally, I just think that that's what Star Trek is best at, is showing it from Starfleet's point of view.
Well, and Starfleet, and I'm sorry, and this is why they say it so often, particularly in the original series. Starfleet is an Earth-centric organization, and it works best with humans on the show. Yeah, you have a couple of weird aliens on the ship just to remind you that it's a multi-planetary federation, but most of the crew is human.
Mm-hmm.
And that saves on the budget, number one, but it also it's because you want the characters to be relatable.
Right. Well, yeah, you'd have to either. It's best to either have humans, or you'd have to make the aliens human-like to be able to relate to the audience. The one thing I'll say to that too, because a lot of people will bring up, well, again, they just didn't have the budget or the ability back then, or they would have done it. But I guess the counter to that is that whether they had the budget or not, they didn't do it, and they didn't do it for like 50 years. So it became what it is.
Right.
So what they wanted and what it is are two different things, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, when you have, like, if you have a crew, like if you look at the original series, Spock was the alien on the show. You know, everybody else was human, and that made Spock a really interesting and unique character. If half the crew were aliens, Spock wouldn't be a standout character.
Right.
You know, and so when you get to TNG, and you have Worf, and you have Data, and you have Troy, and then you have, like, Yar wasn't even technically from Earth, right? And it's like you're kind of watering it down. Oh, and hey, Geordi, Geordi's got a banana clip on his eyes, because why not? And so they got to try to make everybody different somehow. And the problem is that the reason they were doing all that is because, Gene Roddenberry wanted the edict of everybody has to get along and sing Kumbaya all the time. So you got to make everybody look weird and be from different weird places so everybody can say how unique they are without having any kind of conflict. But on the original series, what made them unique was their personalities, not some kind of weirdness about their heritage or their being aliens. And so they could have that interpersonal conflict that drove the people and made them feel human. Like, when you and I, we can argue on this show like we did earlier about 9/11 and stuff, and we can still be friends, and that makes us human beings. If we sit there and say, well, you know what, we're going to do a show, but under no circumstances are we ever going to disagree, then, well, we're not going to be very human.
Well, I mean, but, to be fair, they are evolved humans that don't have to deal with any of that. So.
Yeah, but evolved humans are boring.
No, they're wonderful, man. Who wouldn't want to watch nothing but evolved humans that can't do? I mean, that's why Gene showed it. And the first,
that's why the first season of TNG was.
The ratings on the first 3 seasons were excellent and above board, and there wasn't anything wrong with them. The best of Trek, some might say.
Who says that?
Gene Roddenberry, probably.
Well, Gene Roddenberry's dead, so I don't think he's saying anything.
That's probably why he said. That's probably what happened after he said it. So I didn't realize how late it is. We got to get to What If and something else, don't we? And Lower Decks. We didn't even talk about Lower Decks yet, have we?
No, we haven't. Well, there was a lot. There was a lot out with the Star Trek Day, of course. So we'll do it real quick. So
we can. Well, we'll come back to Lower Decks because I think that's a longer thing. Maybe we can do that next the next time if you want to, and talk about the What If, because that was interesting.
So what if you like the zombies?
Well, I've always been like a huge DC fan, so the fact that
What is your thing about DC? Why do you gotta do that?
I love that Iron Man was there. It was cool that they brought in
you just do that just because you know it pisses me off, right?
Marvel's Fantastic Four. I thought that was awesome.
Stephen Mulvey, $10.
I didn't have any idea that
because they always break canon and continuity. Like how the Ferengi were introduced in season 1 of Enterprise.
Was he really a DC character? That's crazy.
All right, so first of all, thank you, Stephen, for the $10. And it says that's the problem with prequels. They always tend to break canon and continuity, like how the Ferengi came in Enterprise. But, you know, that didn't break canon continuity because they're very careful to not say that they're Ferengi.
That's all it is. And just like they didn't write anything down about the Borg when that occurred.
Right.
So
yeah, remember they cut off the transmission so they didn't hear them say we're the Borg.
Right. So, by the way, one quick thing before we get into the serious what if.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Laura, if you could ask Gene Roddenberry just one question, what would it be? And this is, while it'd be fun to be a joking one, my honest question I'd ask Gene Roddenberry. Because the only thing consistent about Gene Roddenberry was he was all about putting people of different colors, different persons of colors, in the front of the screen. And he actually, before Trek, had conflict and stuff, and he actually lost like a major show in funding from the U.S. Navy or Army for it. And I would honestly ask if he ever had regrets for that, because the one thing I'll say about him, because he had some bad ideas and was not the best person, he was very big on equality to a degree. I won't say full on, but to equality in that. And I would ask him, you know, because he lost man, I forget. I don't know if you know much about Gene, but I actually did a paper on him. I did a full breakdown on him because it's something we had to do for school, for college or university. And he did a lot when it came to equality, and he lost. Do you know anything about Gene Roddenberry beyond Star Trek?
Enough. I mean, most of my knowledge of him comes from his Trek history. So, and the problem is that a lot of his, what he tends to do is like some of his stuff where he did care about equal rights and stuff outside of Trek, and he kind of took credit for what other people did in Trek because he cared about stuff outside of Trek. And like when he casts the Cage, it's an all-white cast, but he talks about how much he cares about a interracial cast, but he didn't cast an interracial cast. But that's a whole other discussion. But you're talking about what happened.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, yeah, it's possible it was done by other people, and he took, because if there's one superpower that exists, it's Gene Roddenberry's ability to take credit for other people.
Yeah,
it was called the Lieutenant. It was called the Lieutenant, right. And it was an American television series. It was actually partially funded by the United States military.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Lieutenant. I know he was involved with it, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's actually my understanding. It's where he met Uhura. I forget her.
Michelle,
yeah. So anyway, I'd be curious about that, assuming that, you know, he was on the level.
I don't know. I do, you know, it's like the funny thing about Gene Roddenberry is that, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but it's just kind of facts are facts. The two women that were regulars on the series are both women that he slept with, and the one woman that was fired from the series was the one woman he didn't sleep with.
She said she'd never come back. When she was the one in the Doctor
Grace Lee Whitney, the one who played Janice Rand. She was fired from the series, but yeah, Gene slept with both Nichelle and Majel Barrett, and and I'm sorry, he left Nichelle for Majel. I think he traded down, in my opinion, but and then he married Majel, of course. But he's the guy was just like you said. You know, Alan Dean Foster. When I talked to him, you know, he was the one that he kept telling me how horrible it was that Gene would just take credit for what everybody else was doing. And the thing that made me angry and really broke the legacy of Gene Roddenberry for me was the fact that he would talk about how much he cared about having an interracial cast when he cast the Cage specifically. And if you look at the Cage, it's an all white cast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm like, seriously, I'm watching him say how he cast an interracial cast for a show that's all white. And I'm trying to understand how people are buying it. Brain is broken. I don't understand.
Last question, then we can go to what if.
Yes.
Which Klingons will New World use, do you think?
That Strange New Worlds, if they use Klingons, that's an interesting question because they should use the smooth-headed ones. Mm-hmm. But we've had, in Discovery, we had the Kling Orc design, which was clearly a continuity gaffe, but are they going to try to say that, the interesting
I bet they try to do both. If they go to war, because remember they said, oh, well, now we have hair because we're no longer at war.
Right. They could, I think it would be interesting is that they could do something kind of like what they did with Enterprise, where they tried to explain the smoothhead to the smoothhead origins. They could do something in Strange New Worlds to try and explain the Kling Orcs. And I think that could be an interesting thing to try and say that they're a subgroup or something like that. I would be down for that if they can do it well. But the problem is, it's gonna, are they gonna have good writers? That's the key. I don't care, I don't care if the Klingons in Strange New Worlds look like the freaking Jem'Hadar. What I care about is, are the stories gonna be good? Honestly, what the Klingons look like is secondary to me. What matters to me is, are they going to have good stories? And I think that the problem is, we as fans, I know we get worked up in the minutia of the details, but the problem is that I can forgive almost any detail if they're showing me an awesome story. Like we can forgive some of the problems with Enterprise because Enterprise was a good show. We can forgive some of the problems with TNG because TNG, at least after season 3, became an awesome show. We can forgive some of the problems with Deep Space Nine because the Dominion War was freaking awesome, right? So we can get over the problems when they give us great stories. Where we can't forgive the problems is when they give us crap.
Right.
And that's I think why we've been nitpicking things like Picard and Discovery and stuff. And honestly, we wouldn't be nitpicking the little things like Picard and Discovery if it wasn't for the fact that we've been so unsatisfied with the storytelling.
Okay. So the true answers about what if, I think that there was bait and switch there because they showed stuff of Captain America and they showed stuff of Iron Man when we really didn't get a lot, if any, of that.
We got like 10 seconds of Iron Man.
They honestly switched it up too, because that's not how the zombies originally worked in the comic. And you're the one that said it was really a Spider-Man story, which makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Overall, I think it was pretty good. They did do some of the stupid tropes, but they acknowledged that they were stupid tropes. And it was another one that ended in, everyone ultimately is going to die.
Right. Because, we see Thanos, zombie Thanos is just basically waiting for the Mind Stone so he can wipe out the universe.
Right.
And, as soon as they cure the zombie virus, Thanos gets the Mind Stone and it's over.
Right.
And it's not like they're going to be able to stop him. Because you think about it, zombie Thanos is standing there right outside of the force field on the edge of Wakanda, and he's got 5 Infinity Stones. And so that means that as soon as Thanos has a clear head with 5 Infinity Stones, he plows through the force field. There's nothing they can do to stop him. And he gets the Mind Stone, and it's over.
Right. Well, and I mean, that made sense you're talking about, because like you said, or at least inferred, like, whether he does it or they do it, because they probably won't be thinking about Thanos, and they'll just activate it to turn everybody back.
Right. They don't even know about Thanos at this point, because unlike in the original...
Oh, that's right. They never got warned. Hulk was trying to warn them, and he never really got around to that.
Right, because of the zombies.
Right. Because things took precedence over that. Oh, did you go back and watch the what if that happened beforehand with Doctor
No,
Strange?
I meant to, but I never got around to it.
You need to take a look, because I went back and watched. Yeah, it's him. He's talking. I guess he's talking to the rest of his race. There was also something interesting that I'm looking forward to. So if you go back and you watch the updated trailer, or maybe it's the original, of just What If Overall, you see him using his powers at one point. And I'm really curious what he's going to get involved in.
You mean the Watcher?
Yeah, the Watcher.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're moving towards, like, because What If as a series, I don't think that the What If series is going to cross over into the MCU at large for the most part, other than the fact that we've seen the Watchers in Guardians 2. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, and so the only thing that really we know is that it's been already established in canon that the Watchers exist. But but I think that they're going to probably build up in the What If series to the Watchers doing something to hold the multiverse together somehow. And maybe we'll see something to where the Watchers from a few different realities are trying to prevent something from happening because of what happened on the Loki series. But ultimately failing, and their failure will continue to have the multiverse fracture, and that will lead to whatever's going to happen on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So while we may not see in Doctor Strange, or even the Spider-Man movie that comes out this Christmas, we may not see the Watchers appear in those movies, we may see the Watchers attempt at the end of this What If series, they may attempt to prevent it from happening.
Right.
And so I wouldn't mind seeing something. So we may see these Watchers working together to try and prevent a fracture, but fail. That I think could be interesting.
Well, I wonder if the penultimate because this is what, phase 4?
Yeah.
I wonder if the penultimate of phase 4 is going to be fixing all of this, because it seems like everything is multiverse, kind of like what you're saying.
Right.
And so I wonder if at the end they're bringing, like, I don't know if they're going to do an Avengers like movie, but I wonder if they do that. By the way, did you watch Shang-Chi?
I have not. Have you?
Oh yeah, it's really.
I've heard good things about it, but I have not been, because I've been so flat broke, and so I haven't been able.
Sure, I understand. Well, again, yeah, my from everything I've seen and heard, it's actually exceptionally good.
I genuinely want to see it. I don't care what anybody, all the naysayers out there. I've yet to see, even the worst Marvel movie is a fun movie.
Right.
So I do want to see it, and I will see it as soon as I'm able. But it may not be until it comes out on Disney Plus, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be. It's probably one of, because a lot of the reviewers and critics are saying it's one of the better movies. So I really, with everything that's going on, I think that it'll probably be the strongest. Well, I mean, we haven't seen Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is going to be awesome. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really a huge Doctor Strange fan. When we first, because this was a while back, but when Doctor Strange first came out and they first started putting trailers, I had never read any of the comics on him or anything, so I didn't care. But I am a huge Doctor Strange fan now. Well, it's probably one of my favorite.
It's funny because I have thousands of Marvel comics, and what I don't have much of is the Avengers. Although I do, interestingly enough, have Doctor Strange's first appearance in comics. But I don't have much of the Avengers. And because I never really gave a crap about the Avengers. I don't have much Iron Man. I don't have much Thor. I don't have much of any of these guys. But Marvel, the studio, has done an incredible job with them. What I have a ton of is Fantastic Four. I have a ton of X-Men. A ton of Spider-Man, and so those were the guys that I collected mostly, and those are the characters that Marvel didn't have access to, and they've had to work with the B team, so to speak. They didn't want to do the Avengers. They wanted to do Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Spider-Man, but other studios own them, and man, they've done an incredible job. And I can't believe that I was just, I was so sad to see Tony Stark out of the MCU now.
Yeah. Well, and that still doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why they couldn't bring him back.
Well, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was showing his age by Endgame, and I'm sorry, that was a perfect exit. I'd say let him go, let that be the entire Iron Man saga, because it was perfect.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I don't
know that it was perfect because he died in a way that he could be brought back from, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, reboot him in a decade or whatever. But for now, let that be the Iron Man story.
Right.
And it's not like they don't have plenty of other characters to pull on.
Right.
So Marvel literally has hundreds of characters that they haven't even touched, and some of them are really compelling. Hopefully they like Fantastic Four, I really want to see them do well. We have yet to get a proper cinematic X-Men, and so there's so much they can do there. And we've seen what they can do with the timeline and stuff now with like Avengers Endgame. Imagine them doing a proper X-Men Days of Future Past. Yeah, man. So
are you excited about Eternals, by the way? Someone brought that up. I actually, I don't know anything about them, but I've watched their ads.
The trailer for it, it's like, my problem with the Eternals trailer is that I still don't know enough about them.
Stephen Mulvey, $10. Do you guys wish that Star Trek Phase 2 was made instead of TNG?
Stephen asked an interesting question, and thank you for the $10, Steve. Says, do you wish Star Trek Phase 2 was made instead of TNG? That's a tricky one because, Phase 2 was going to actually wouldn't be a choice between TNG and Phase 2. It would have been TMP, because remember, Phase 2 was canceled in favor of making the first film. And so if it was a choice, and that is a tough call, because man, I love that first film and the 6 films that we got out of the original series. But how awesome would it have been to have gotten a second original cast series? I don't know. It's kind of a coin toss for me there.
I mean, any movie that I can go get my oil changed in my car, come back, and they haven't even left space dock yet, I'm all for. I got to admit, can sit down and do my taxes.
You are such a jerk.
Can ponder life, like figure out the actual meaning of life, get the powers of Shang-Chi himself. Anything I can do like that, I just enjoy. What? I'm agreeing with you.
Uh-huh. Did you seriously not like the Star Trek the Motion Picture?
I like the abridged version very much. I understand 6 minutes of flashy lights is like fantastic. I understand. I get it. Again, I can go and ponder the meaning of life, single-handedly help Russia overthrow the United States, get back.
Wow! You want to help Russia overthrow? Did you just seriously say you want to help Russia?
Well, as you know, I don't care about 9/11. That's obviously a reason for that.
Wow. Darth Maul says, conceive and deliver a baby. You forgot that.
conceive and deliver a baby. I mean, anytime you can do like literally like 20 minutes worth of something and then get back and still have the main plot to get through, I'm all for. I think it's wonderful.
Sirstra says someone could write a novel during the first half of TMP.
Right. They probably write the TMP novel. That's what happened. The novelization was written in the first half of the movie.
That would be amazing. I think that would create a time vortex. Now, you see, I disagree. I think, obviously, but...
I mean, but I mean, like, have you finished it yet? You're getting on there, so...
it's not that long, right?
It really is. It's unnecessarily long.
Like a typical Marvel movie is longer than Star Trek the Motion Picture.
It's 2 hours and 23 minutes for a movie that really should be like an hour 15.
An hour 15?
Yes, there is that.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, like an hour 15 of it is like people just staring at the vortex of time. Literally, what is the con runtime? Hold on, let's see. Wrath of Khan run.
Well,
they did it in half the time. Well, not half the time. They did it. He did it 30 minutes less. Khan almost completely destroyed and killed Kirk, and they created a new planet in 30 minutes less than it took for them to do the motion picture.
And Valor, you're right. Lore Reloaded is the sarcastic brother you're glad you have, can be annoying, but can't help it still.
I mean, I'm not wrong on this. We both know it.
Well, I'm not saying that the motion picture doesn't have some pacing issues. The cloud penetration scene is way too long. I will absolutely give you that. However, some of those scenes, like for example, the scene where Scotty goes around the ship and kind of shows the Enterprise to Kirk from every angle, I do like that scene, and I think that it should stay exactly the way it was.
It's wonderful, because like what I'll do is I'll start that scene. I'll actually run to Sonic to grab something to eat.
You know that scene is not that long.
And then go to Walmart, because
that scene is like a minute and a half long.
And then I come minute and a half. Bullshit, minute and a half. Man, that's...
I edited. I actually have because we're going to be watching it on movie night with Matthew this Friday. We're going to be watching Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
By a minute and a half long, do you mean 6 minutes and 28 seconds?
No, it's not that long.
It is.
It
yes.
is not.
No, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. 6:27 minus 54. We'll take an entire minute off. I'll round up. 5 minutes and 27 seconds.
I'm gonna bring it up right now. I am going to.
Yours. Everybody can see it. Look, both mine and yours. 5 minutes of going around.
It is not 5 minutes.
It is 5 minutes.
I will bet you $5 right now. It is not 5 minutes.
Okay, you'll bet me $5 right now. PayPal it.
Okay. I will bet you $5 right now. And in fact, and just so we'll be on the up and up here. Let me share screen.
I just shared it right here. No. We're going to share it from mine.
I don't trust you.
Oh, I'm sure you don't. I wouldn't trust me either if I had it right here. At 56 seconds, I'm looking at the scene. Star Trek: The Motion Picture. They look at the Enterprise. At 56 seconds, the shuttle launches. Okay? From there, we go all the way around. We're still going around it. 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 They dock at 6:16 seconds.
Let's see. They're beaming on.
They don't beam on to anything. They're in a shuttle. Everybody can see it. I shared the link in your chat and mine. 6 minutes of looking at the ship. 6 minutes. 5 minutes is what I said. 5 minutes.
We'll see. Give me a minute.
No, let's see. Let's go.
All right. There's the Klingons.
It starts from when the shuttle launches to when the shuttle docks.
You just like saying docks.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of docking.
I know you are.
I'll dock with you. You don't even got to give me the $5. We'll just dock.
No. So you want to go all the way back to when they launch. All right, so let's see.
When they launch the shuttle, yes, to look at the Enterprise.
Let's see. All right, and that's there. We're docking there.
I'm looking at it right now on Voyager. I have the classic scene from Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right. See, they're not even. Let me see. Here's.
Oh, here we go. What are they not doing? Are they just in it playing Parcheesi? Are they playing some?
Well, no, I'm trying to get to. Okay. Here's where you can first
in the
see the
background and playing some. Oh, so it's when you first see the Enterprise, not when they leave. So when they're out.
Well, when they're just sitting there talking.
No, not when they're sitting there talking. When they launch, when you see the back of the shuttle is when it starts. Or pod, I don't know what that is.
It's a pod, I think, is what they call it. So, now, granted, I come up with 4 minutes 25 seconds. That's what now. That is a long scene, but that's from when you first see that's when they first see the Enterprise.
No. So when it starts is when you look at the back of the pod, and it is included because it is a part of the scene.
So you're trying to count when there's a standing around giving dialogue.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about when the shuttle launches. Oh, right. And when they talk inside of it, talking about it. Yeah, I'm talking about that too because it's all a part of the same scene. It's literally, and again, this is one of the shorter ones. We're not even talking about when they're going to warp, or like you said, when they're going into the space.
The cloud penetration scene. I told you that one. I totally agree with you. The cloud penetration scene, I think, is ridiculous. And in fact, I think I'm going to have to do a special edition of the cloud penetration scene with you singing "Happy Birthday" and everybody reacting to that.
That'd be funny. If I wasn't alive when the movie was made, my criticism doesn't count. Was I alive when was the motion picture?
It came out in 1979.
Oh, I wasn't even alive when this came out.
Yeah, see, so your criticism doesn't count. There you go. You are invalid, my friend.
You were like 30 at that time, weren't you?
Oh, you are so done.
How old were you?
Oh,
you were like
Jesus.
You were a kid, though.
Done.
You weren't a teenager. You weren't a teenager.
No, I was 11 years old.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you were a teenager.
And I will tell you, I was, man.
It was the best 6 minutes of your life.
I was as excited as Kirk was in that scene. I was loving every moment of it. So, yes, I loved every moment of that scene.
I liked when Lower Decks did like an homage to that, where they were just spinning around the California class.
Yeah, the Cerritos.
Yeah, in season 1, I thought there was a homage to that. I thought that was cool. But yeah, anyway, so you want to? I'll just take an apology instead of the $5.
No, it's 4 minutes and 25 seconds.
Oh, okay. So this is another one of those. It only counts in the things that I say it counts. So, okay. I understand.
All right, I'll make my apology in the form of a video for you.
You should.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I'll highlight it on my channel. I'm sure it'll be a very sincere apology.
Oh, you're gonna love it. I'll
and not mean-spirited.
Not at all. So I'll try to get that done tonight for you.
Did you like before we get? Did you like the what if before we get off? Because it's getting tired.
Yeah, it was. I liked it, but it does suffer from I do think it's a little bit of a pattern with what if, where they keep kind of jumping to the ending, where they're like, oh well, and things are happening, and the world's going to end, so the end.
The only one that doesn't happen with, though, interestingly, is Captain Carter. Did you notice that?
Well, Captain Carter, the world didn't end. But there was one other than trying to think.
No, because the other ones ended.
T'Challa's Star-Lord, the world ends.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was there?
Strange is obviously a real bad
Strange, the entire universe ends.
Spider-Man ends. What was the other one? Because it feels like there's one more.
What was Spider-Man?
The zombie one?
Oh, okay. But see, the Doctor Strange one didn't feel like they didn't skip to the ending. The Doctor Strange one actually felt complete.
Yeah.
You know.
And what if the world lost its mightiest heroes? So the Avengers.
Right. And the what if the world that one skipped to and don't worry, Captain Marvel's going to save the day.
Right. Loki's taking over.
Yeah, and so I think that's the problem with what if is I think, and it was a problem they had in the comic books too sometimes, is they just kind of rush the ending sometimes, which I get it that they can't make each one a feature-length film, because with these stories you could easily make each one of these a feature film.
Right.
Especially the zombie one. I mean, that could have easily been a feature film. So I get that, but I've enjoyed the series so far. I think it's been enjoyable. I'm looking forward to seeing. Let's see. The next one is the Killmonger saves Tony Stark, right?
Yeah, and I don't know what that one's supposed to be. It looks interesting, but I don't have any.
Yeah, I have no idea where they're going with that one.
But apparently, it looks like he's becoming the hero. But they're going to. Fight,
I'm assuming like maybe Tony's going to make Killmonger an Iron Man or something.
Right. And then, I mean, from what it looked like, it almost looked like they were about to attack where T'Challa's homeland. What is that called? I was
Wakanda.
Wakanda, yeah.
Could be.
I was about to say Wanda. It's like, what?
Wakanda Vision, a new series coming to Disney Plus later this. And that was the other thing. Did you see the trailer for Hawkeye?
Yeah, I actually like. I'm a huge. Well, first off, it's Christmas. I love Christmas. That's my favorite time of year. And I like Hawkeye, so I'll be interested. The only thing I was like is like, does he really need a jazzy female sidekick? Was my only thing.
Well, I think the funny thing about it is that it felt like to me that this is the lightest Disney Plus show that Marvel's done so far, like in tone. It's just like, hey, everybody, it's Hawkeye. Let's, grab your bow and arrow. It was like the most lighthearted, let's have a fun time Disney Plus show so far.
Well, and it looks like it's going to be a comedy because everything you see about it, like he's talking to his wife. He's like, I'm going to be back in a couple of days. Someone throws up like a Molotov.
He's like throwing it back.
Yeah, while he's talking to her. Yeah. And
she fires the explosive arrow. You got things more dangerous than that, stuff like.
And then she's trying to save him. Like at the end, she's trying to save him, and he's about to die or whatever, and she just falls through the roof. I mean, I agree. It looks like it's going to be lighthearted.
And I'm sorry, that Steve Rogers musical on Broadway, Disney. Come on, Disney. You own High School Musical. We need a Steve Rogers full-on musical.
That would be funny.
We need it. We absolutely need it. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up there because it is late, and Laura's got naked things to do on his OnlyFans site. So he's not going to make them millions without.
I call it space docking. Don't look up docking online. Sexual docking, whatever you do, don't do that.
So there you go. But I'll give him credit. This is the first live stream I've ever done with Laura where he did not mention the Germans from the 1940s. So good job, Laura.
We didn't talk about. Oh, I can't say that right now.
Yeah, don't.
No, I was going to bring up a certain state, but I can't talk about that for other reasons. So everybody loves California. Who doesn't like California, guys? I want to thank you so much for showing. So I'm just going to end it on my side for now. So
all right, guys.